we are finally approving from the Parliament side the AI Act.
The European Union Artificial Intelligence Act, a comprehensive framework to deal with the risks of artificial intelligence.
The Act aims to balance the safety and reliability of AI use for people across Europe.
Hello everyone. Today we are diving into a groundbreaking development in the world of artificial intelligence. In February 2024, the European Union made history by passing the EU AI Act, marking the world's first major legal framework for regulating artificial intelligence. This monumental legislation has sent ripples throughout the tech industry, sparking discussions and debates about the future of AI regulation. In this video, let's break down the EU AI Act and, most importantly, understand how it will impact the teams designing and deploying the AI solutions. Let's start with understanding what EU AI Act is and who all will be impacted by it. The EU AI Act is the European Union's flagship law that regulates how AI systems should be designed and used within the EU. The Act proposes a risk-based approach classifying AI systems into 4 distinct risk categories: unacceptable risk, high risk, limited risk, and minimal risk. The Act specifies obligations for each risk category, ranging from no obligation to completely banned. In its approach, the Act is similar to other product safety laws in the EU, and it shares many aspects with GDPR, including serious penalties for violations of up to 7% of global turnover. The EU AI Act mandates that AI systems providers that put AI systems into service in the EU comply with the regulations. Whether such providers are based in the EU or a third country is irrelevant. Both providers and users situated outside the EU are also obligated to abide by these guidelines if the outcomes of their AI systems are used within the EU. The Act generally doesn't apply to AI systems developed, placed on the market, or used by public authorities for national defense, public security, or law enforcement. However, specific use cases within these areas might still be subject to other relevant regulations. Now let's examine each of the risk categories outlined in the EU AI Act and the unique challenges they present, starting with unacceptable risk category. Title 2, Article 5 of the proposed AI Act explicitly bans harmful AI practices that are considered to be a clear threat to people's safety, livelihoods, and rights because of the unacceptable risk they create. Accordingly, it would be prohibited to use these in the EU. It includes AI systems that deploy harmful manipulative subliminal techniques. Subliminal advertising is an AI system that manipulates users' perceptions without their awareness. It embeds hidden messages in ads or content, like flashing subliminal messages or altering audio frequencies to influence buying behavior. AI systems that exploit specific vulnerable groups with physical or mental disability. An example is predatory AI chatbots, which are designed to exploit the trust of the people with dementia, tricking them into revealing personal information or financial details. AI systems used by public authorities or on their behalf for social securing purposes. An example is a social credit AI system that assigns citizens a social score based on factors like online behavior, financial history, or social connections. This score could limit access to the jobs, housing, or other opportunities, potentially leading to social exclusion and discrimination. Real-time remote biometric identification systems in publicly accessible spaces for law enforcement purposes, except in a limited number of cases. An example is mass facial recognition for surveillance, a network of AI-powered cameras constantly scanning faces in public spaces to identify and track individuals without their consent. In summary, companies must refrain from designing or deploying AI systems that pose an unacceptable risk to individuals' fundamental rights, such as those perpetuating discrimination or violating privacy. Next are the high-risk AI systems which negatively affect safety or fundamental rights and should hence be regulated. These will be considered high risk and are divided into 2 categories. AI systems that are used in products falling under the EU's product safety legislation. This includes toys, aviation, cars, medical devices, and lifts. Next are the AI systems falling into 8 specific areas that will have to be registered in an EU database. These systems include biometric identification and categorization of natural persons, management and operation of critical infrastructure, education and vocational training, employment, worker management, and access to self-employment, access to and enjoyment of essential private services and public services and benefits, law enforcement, migration, asylum and border control management, administration of justice and democratic processes. An example is AI-powered recruitment tool. These tools can introduce bias in the hiring process, unfairly disadvantaging certain candidates. Another example is algorithmic decision-making for high-stakes applications. This includes AI used in loan approvals, criminal risk assessments, or automated border control systems. Explainability and fairness are crucial in these applications. In summary, organizations working on high-risk AI systems such as those used in healthcare or transportation must adhere to stringent regulatory requirements and standards. To mitigate the risk associated with high-risk AI systems, robust testing protocols, continuous monitoring mechanisms, and fail-safe mechanisms must be implemented. Deployers of AI systems may need to provide evidence of compliance with regulatory standards and undergo regular audits to ensure adherence to safety and performance requirements. They will also need to register the products in the EU database. Further in this video, we'll discuss practically how it will work for organizations who want to deploy AI solutions. Next are the limited risk or medium risk systems. These have not been explicitly defined in the EU Act. An example is chatbots. While generally considered low risk, chatbots used in sensitive areas like healthcare and financial services might require some risk management practices due to the potential for misinformation or manipulation. Organizations developing AI systems categorized as limited risk must still prioritize transparency and accountability in their design and deployment. While the risk associated with limited risk AI systems may be lower, companies must still implement measures to mitigate potential harms and ensure user safety. Companies may need to provide documentation outlining the functionalities, limitations, and potential risks of limited risk AI systems to stakeholders and regulatory authorities. Next are the minimal risk systems. These are the systems for which there are no legal obligations. These include systems such as AI spam filters that analyze email content to identify and filter spam messages, recommendation engines that recommend products or content based on user preferences, typically posing a minimal risk, image or video filters that can add effects to the media, usually for entertainment purposes. Organizations working on AI systems categorized as minimal risk, such as chatbots or recommendation engines, have more flexibility in their design and deployment. While minimum risk AI systems may pose fewer risks, solution developers should still prioritize transparency and user empowerment to foster trust and confidence in AI technologies. Developers of the system, including solution architects, project managers, and business analysts, must first conduct a risk assessment of the solution being built. If the system poses an unacceptable risk, it cannot be deployed. If the system is a high-risk AI system, then it will be subject to strict obligations before it can be put on the market. Here is a step-by-step view of what the process looks like for a high-risk system. Step 1 is where a high-risk system is developed. In step 2, it needs to undergo the conformity assessment and comply with the AI requirements. Step 3 is the registration of the standalone AI system in an EU database. At the last step, a declaration of conformity needs to be signed and the AI system should bear the CE marking. Only after this step can the system be placed on the market. If the substantial changes happen in the AI system's lifecycle, developers will again have to go back to step 2. As the designers of the AI solution, the solution architects need to make sure that adequate risk assessment is done and mitigation systems are put in place. For example, ensuring high-quality data sets are fed to the system to minimize risk and discriminatory outcomes, and appropriate human oversight measures to minimize risk. Secondly, detailed documentation is produced, providing all information necessary on the system and its purpose for authorities to assess its compliance. Another key characteristic of the system is transparency. This can be achieved by logging activity to ensure the traceability of the results and by making systems modular so that the input and output from each module can be traced and reported. In addition, AI systems need to be highly robust, secure, and accurate. If you're curious about generative AI tools such as ChatGPT, it's important to note that while they may not be high risk, they still need to follow certain regulations. This includes complying with transparency requirements and EU copyright law, which involves disclosing that the content was generated by AI, designing the model to prevent the generation of illegal content, and publishing summaries of copyrighted data used for training. As we look ahead, the EU AI Act marks a significant step towards building responsible AI and safeguarding individuals' rights and well-being. However, the road to implementation and enforcement will undoubtedly be met with challenges and complexity. The Act will evolve to navigate these real-world implementation challenges, making this journey exciting and worth following. Thanks for joining me on this exploration of EU AI Act. For more valuable insights, do follow me. Until next time, stay curious, stay data-driven.